Elevate Massage Heights podcast. This is Shane Evans, your co-founder and president. And today on Elevate, I am happy to announce that we have the one and only Chad Reid. Woo! Yes, we need like clapping background noise or something, right? Chad is the vice president of operations for our strategic partner, Jen Burlington. Jen Burlington, as many of you know, is a multi-unit retreat owner. She has 3 in San Antonio, Texas. Jen is also the area rep for Dallas. And again, Chad is her right-hand man in helping to support that market. But what do you believe is your greatest asset and the thing that you bring to the table based on those tools that you learned over the years in those prior roles?
I do think that it's, I like to motivate people and keep them happy. I mean, if you watch the cameras at our retreat, you'll see me goofy and dancing around the hallway and trying to, help the therapists and changeovers and things like that and interacting with clients. And I think that type of energy is what you have to be, really successful. We talk about rapport building and talking to clients. And I was in another retreat this week and everyone was sitting there quiet with a new guest in the lobby. And I went over and talked to him for 20 minutes about the 10 places that he's lived in the last 20 years. It's just, you have to find some way to engage with people. And I think that's probably what I learned being in the restaurant industry. And then being, of course, on a performing stage is that it's all about the people that are in the audience. You're there for their entertainment. So how do you bring that value to them? And so that's kind of the approach that I've taken in Massage Heights is what value do I bring to my team so that they'll be motivated and want to, help us succeed. One of the things coming from Six Flags, it was a joke for a while that I was like placing all the performers at locations in San Antonio because performers naturally, they're not afraid to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And so when the biggest job that the front desk has is customer service and selling memberships and they're not afraid to talk to people, it made it a lot easier, the transition. So people that are not afraid to be in front of other people, the ones that pay attention to really details. So like, we've recruited people from like Starbucks because they high volume, they're used to high stress, they pay attention to details because if you mess up somebody's coffee, it's like it starts their day off wrong. So those are the types of qualities we look for when we're trying to hire somebody for a front desk position.
Yeah, so there you go, family. You need to go hire entertainers and baristas. And I know, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think Starbucks employees are great. They're a great example of people that we should be looking for. They're trained well, they're positive, they're professional, and they're used to that pressure, like you said, the speed to getting things done and right. I found Chick-fil-A employees to be another really great. We recruited, I think, one of our very first employees out of a Chick-fil-A line. She just every time we go through there, she was just great, And I thought, wow, we need her to come to work for us, and she did. She came to work for us at Stone Oak and was there for a very long time.
That's
so
awesome.
Anyway, there's lots of ways to recruit people, but the bottom line, I think, is what you're getting to is you want people that are not afraid to talk to people, you're not afraid to ask for the sale, and that understand that the guests come first, right? Our team members really have to come first for the guests to come first, but that we have to take care of the guest needs.
So we have a pretty intense interview process. We learned a long time ago. Actually, it's something that Brian Reid came and consulted with us, and he was getting good results. So we said, Brian, what are you doing? How do you get good front desk? And he said, we bring them in for a shadow shift. We make sure that they fit with the culture of the business, and that my team also likes them. So it's not just whether we think they're a good fit, but does the team also think that they're a good fit? Because if they don't fold in together very well, if there's personality clashes, it doesn't matter how great they are on paper. If they can't actually get along with the team that we've already established, then it causes a rift in the system. Yeah. So we incorporated a lot of that, and a bad front desk hire can cause you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in revenue.
Absolutely.
Just because they're not selling or they're not motivated or they don't really care. So but we start with a phone interview, and it's not a 5-minute phone interview. Hey, thanks for applying. How'd you hear about us? When can you come in? It's, what exactly brought you to Massage Heights? What's your favorite part about working at the place you are now? What's your least favorite part? And then we want to make sure those things match what we can offer or what we don't offer if they didn't like it, so that we know that it's going to be a good fit coming in. And then they come in, and then we do a more intense in-person interview, and we have them shadow the front desk, and we give them a little script to come back and learn and present to us and show that they're motivated to actually go through the process, because this is somebody they're going to have to work with, 40 hours a week for the next few years or however long they're there. So
how long do they shadow?
Anywhere from like an hour to 2 or 3 hours. It depends on the day. We try not to let them shadow on the weekends just because it's like chaos and it's running around.
Yeah.
But we try to schedule them usually in the middle of the day, so it's a changeover, so the morning and the night crew get to meet them. They can interact with some therapists. And we don't do it as a training. So it's not they come in and we immediately start teaching them Zenoti.
Sure.
It's sit back. I want you to ask questions if you think of them. I want you to interact with people, talk to the guests, go to the back and talk to the therapist and figure out if this is the place that you want to work.
Yeah.
And then after they leave, then we ask the team, do you feel like this is a place that they should work?
Your perspective, what is the number one thing that we should be doing as it pertains to recruiting?
So don't stop recruiting is the biggest thing. So, and we've fallen into this trap a million times over the last 10 years. But, the one thing is I think people look at the white space on their schedules and they go, oh, I've got a bunch of white space. I don't need to hire anybody. And that's not always the case, because if you're not fully staffed on peak hours, on nights and weekends, and you don't have every room full and occupied, you're not staffed, and you're not booking the amount of appointments that you should. So even if you haven't tracked all the turnaways like you should, you're still missing opportunities there, because people can online book now and people can book through the app, and so there's a lot of missed opportunities there. So recruiting is the one thing, like Jen is like, you have to do all the time. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And so it's not just on me, it's not just on Jen, it's on our entire team of managers. So we have an RD and an ARD at each one of the 3 locations in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
We have a massage therapy director that manages the massage therapists for all 3 locations. We have me and Jen. So we have 9 hands, 18 hands, all on deck at all times about recruiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
What have you found to be the most effective? Is there, a lot of little things going to the schools and such, but is it digital? Is it, what's the most effective way that you're doing it? Or is it, Glassdoor, or what is it?
It's been a lot of Indeed. We used to use Craigslist back in the day. We get the same 5 people that are always looking for jobs that apply on Craigslist. So we didn't get a lot of hits there. A lot of it has been on Indeed, just because we run ads constantly, and we run sponsored ads and making sure that we're constantly up, higher on the listings. We've used a couple other methods, like trying to go to schools and doing VIP experience days where we bring in the students and show them around and give them a free 30-minute or free hour session just so they can see what Massage Heights has to offer. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say any one of them is any more effective, but you just have to be doing it all the time. So if you're not recruiting and you're not constantly, trying every single avenue you can, then how can you expect for anyone to just walk in your door and be like, hey, I'm a therapist, here's my application.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessarily about where the avenue is. It's just you have to be doing it all the time.
Yeah, huge concentration.
And referrals are great too. Therapists, it's a small world no matter what city you're in. And if you can create a team that believes in what you are selling and they care about you and they're loyal to your brand, then it's easier for them to refer somebody in. And we do a referral bonus for that, just as an incentive. Please bring somebody in that you want to add to our team.
Yeah. What is your onboarding process?
So for therapists, because we have our massage therapy director, basically a lead therapist, he handles the new hire training. So when we bring somebody on, they spend their first couple days with him going over, this is what Massage Heights is. These are the services that we offer. This is where you pick up your soap notes or where you drop off the soap notes or your intake forms. This is how you greet your client. And we focus a lot on, the very first day, we focus on ethics and boundaries, communication, and draping, because those are the 4 things that cause the most issues with therapists. Either they're not listening to their client. It's not usually skill, it's not enough pressure necessarily. It's that they're not paying attention to exactly what the client's asking for, or they didn't ask the right questions to figure out exactly what the client wanted. Mm-hmm. So we start there with that whole communication and ethics and boundaries and draping piece, and then we move into the elevations, all the hands-on stuff. So this is what the benefits are. This is how you do it. We model them on a model for them. So we'll bring a front desk person in or a manager or someone, and then we have them do hands-on. So it goes through the full process of actually see one, do one, teach one, right? Grey's Anatomy. Yep. That's their whole thing, and that's kind of what we try to incorporate into our training process as well. And once they're done with the hands-on training, they get their sign-off, then they spend the first few hours of their first actual day on the schedule with the retreat directors. And they go through orientation, all their new hire paperwork. They introduce them to the family fund, this is an amazing thing that we have to offer, would you like to contribute? And we get that kind of buy-in from them there. So it's another dose of good culture that they go, oh my gosh, you guys really do take care of us. Mm-hmm. And then they do another tour, they answer any questions that they've had. And then a couple weeks later, our massage therapy director, he follows back up. Hey, how are your first 2 weeks? What's going on? So it's keeping those channels of communication open, because I feel like a lot of times what happens what used to happen at our retreats is we would bring somebody on and they would start working on clients and we wouldn't really talk to them again until they got their first complaint or something went wrong. And then we go, well, what do you mean you're not doing it that way?
Sure.
And they go, well, I didn't know I was supposed to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's on us. That's not on you. We didn't give you the tools to be successful. So we try to put these processes in place where we have these checkpoints, 2 weeks after, 30 days after, 60 days after, so that they're engaged and they know that we're watching their paychecks. We know what they need to make every 2 weeks. Do we need to adjust a schedule now? Or we're very conscious of those things. And we made those decisions because we went back to the therapist and said, what are the things we need to do to make you guys happier to work here?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we would love some follow-up. Like, we would love, different massage tools. We would like snacks in the break room. I mean, you wouldn't think that'd be a big deal, but it's a big deal because they're so booked and they want the convenience of being able to do that. Well, they also asked for better communication methods. So can you guys tell us how a promotion's going? Like, how are we doing in the company? Are we doing well? Or are we not doing well? And so we have like posting boards in the back that we write those things. We're number 3 in the company this month in this, and we're increased elevations 10%. Great job, you guys. So it's keeping the communication open has been important with that onboarding process with new therapists.
So that they know that what role that they've actually played in the success of the goals, right? That it's not just the front end and the back end. That it's a cohesive team. We're all working together. What about your lifestyle consultants? What does that onboarding process look like for them?
So after they go through the interview process and they get hired and we get, background checks and everything in, so they come on and it's usually about a 2-week training process. And I was talking to a manager that actually has another concept, and they said it takes about a year for the front desk person to get really, really comfortable in the job. Like 100% can answer every question. So we try as much as we can in that first couple weeks to go, what are the basics you absolutely have to know? So not just the system and Zenoti, but we play this game called How Do You Handle It? And we read you, this is a scenario that's come up, right? The guest comes in and there's no appointment on the books for them. What do you do? And we make them critically think through those things rather than giving them the answer, because we want them to know how to think on their feet about things that happen, because I can't tell you 100% of the stuff that's going to happen at Massage Heights tomorrow. Like someone's going to call me today and go, hey, the amplifier's not working in my store. I'm like, okay, let's go figure it out together.
That's a new one.
Yeah. So, but it's those kinds of things that we want to teach them up front. So the first 2 weeks is very vigorous. Like, we want you to ask a million questions. We're going to quiz you. But I think a lot of times it starts with the training, which is very foundational, and then there's not a whole lot of coaching that goes on afterwards. So like the Dallas Cowboys, I'm a huge fan, right? So they training camp, they are training, they are conditioning their bodies, they are getting ready for what is going to come next. And during the season, they start getting coached. It's all the little things that remember this one play that we ran in practice? That's how I need you to run this play. Remember that one way that I showed you how to guard this guy? This is what you need to do in this. So it's not just taking the training aspects at the beginning, but it's the coaching that goes all the way through that makes the biggest difference in their performance in the long run.
Yep, absolutely.
So one of the first questions therapists ever ask you, right, is how much do you pay per hour?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not about that, because I could pay you $100 per hour, but if I only give you 2 appointments a week, you're only making $200 a week. So let's talk about what you need your paychecks to be, and then let me help you write a schedule that's going to get you there. And then we have printed out a payroll with no one's names on it, but this is how many days they work, how many appointments they do, and how much money they make. And we go, this is it. This is an actual payroll. You can look at this. You can take it with you. We don't care. Like, we're showing you very, very honestly exactly what you can make here. And this person's only working 3 morning shifts, and that's why they're a lot lower than this person that's working both weekend days and 3 weeknights. So we outline kind of that for them in the interview process, because I believe if I have an open room, I'm going to hire a therapist for that schedule anyways. But if somebody comes in and they go, I want to work Monday through Friday because that's all I can work, I'm going to be very upfront with you and go, it's going to take you a while to build your clients. And you may have days where you sit around and you don't have anything, and we'll do everything we can to help. But I can't guarantee you're going to have a full set of books. You're not going to make $2,000. If you find that job, let me know, because I got 30 other people that want it.
Yeah.
But it's about being super transparent with them up front and going, look, I want to set you up for success, but if we can't meet halfway, or if we can't tweak the schedule a little bit and maybe find the best of both worlds, then maybe this isn't the best fit for you.
Yeah.
And then what typically happens is fear of loss, because then they're like, well, no, but I want to work here and you're being so honest. Okay, I can move my schedule around a little bit. And so sometimes you get that, and sometimes it's, when things clear up, then give us a call and we'd be more than happy to sit down and revisit it. But sometimes you hire out of desperation, right? You just bring somebody in, but
Yeah.
we try to be very transparent with their compensation like that, so they go, oh, okay, so I can work 4 days a week here and I can make $1,600 or $1,800. Well, yes, but this is the schedule you're going to have to work to get there. So
Yeah.
if this isn't the job for you because you can't get where you need to be compensation wise, then we'll have to figure something else out.
Continuing education. I know your team puts a lot of focus on training. And so, how do you manage continuing education for the different positions within the retreat?
Yeah. So we have facials at our 3 locations. Let's start there. Facials is easy because Dermalogica has a good education program. We actually do offer incentives for them to reach their 2 different statuses on Dermalogica. So once they become certified in each one of the statuses, we pay them a big bonus. So it's motivating for them to want to continue to educate themselves on the product and continue to educate themselves as a skin therapist so that they're continuing to give a better service.
Got it.
On the other side, with massage therapy, it's the same way. So we do contract with the local school that does CE courses, and as a region, we actually did, if they complete this series of 8 classes 3 times, because that's you have to take it 3 times in order to really retain the information.
Sure.
Then we actually pay a $2,800 incentive bonus. So we pay for them to take the classes and like the CE course cost, and then we pay them at the very end once they finished it. So it's we want you to go and educate yourself and continue to get better and fine tune your skill, and then as an incentive at the end, we're going to pay you a little bit extra too.
Nice.
So it's big for them. And then the front desk it's coaching all the time. And recently I've got like my managers are all reading leadership books. So every couple months I give them a new leadership book. This is what we're going to discuss on our management meeting in 2 months. So
Love
you
it.
got some time to read it, and let's continue to grow.
What are they reading right now?
They are reading a book called Teaming.
Teaming?
Yeah, Teaming. And it's about how to deal with different dynamics and personality types in your team. And so this is especially important for the managers because they do have totally different personalities in the retreat, from the front desk to the therapist to the skin therapist.
Absolutely.
So it's important for them to know how to manage those relationships and conflicts within those relationships, and how some people react differently based on their personality types or based off of past experiences. And so it's about how to overcome those types of situations.
I love that, and understand where people are coming from. Tell me about. Let's talk about sales, membership sales. I don't think we've talked about this yet. How do you reward your key contributors?
So we have the standard commissions for membership sales, but all of our compensation plans for the front desk, like the LCs, the ARD, and RD, are all geared towards sales, and the end goal is revenue, right? So revenue is the one number that is consistent. It goes to the bank account. You know exactly what that number is. So basically everything is driven towards revenue. So my managers are paid their salary, and they get a percentage of revenue if they hit a goal, so which is whatever the revenue goal is for the month, and they have to sell a minimum of 75 memberships as a retreat.
Okay.
So then they get paid that. My ARD is the same with a slightly different percentage, and then the LCs are the same, but they get to split it kind of as a bonus pot.
Got it.
And it's a contribution. There's like a formula for that, but it's all geared towards membership sales, because we know that we have revenue at the end of the day, but if we're not growing our EFTs, it becomes increasingly difficult month over month to reach those revenue goals. There's only so often that you can sell $8,000 in paid in fulls to help cover up the gap, right?
Yeah,
So, so we focus then on memberships. How do you get your active recurrences up? Because that's the one number you want to see to go up, because it should drive your revenue numbers up the right direction.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
how we compensate.
Yeah, because we can't necessarily help attrition. I mean, you're going to always have membership cancellations. I mean, there are things that we can do to help mitigate some of that, but you're going to have natural things where people move and what have you. And so we've got to be able to make up those cancellations in the membership sales. And to your point, look, if we're only netting 10 new members per month, we're not growing.
Yeah, we're not getting there.
Yeah, we're not growing. What is your target on net new members per month?
It kind of changes because it depends on the size of our retreats. Because retention at Leon Springs, if they lose 30 members versus Alamo Heights, it's twice as much because
Sure.
of half the member base. It's around 25 that we would like to see net. Anything higher than that is absolutely amazing. But again, the goal is they have to be selling at least 75, and they have to be hitting the revenue in order for it to pay out.
Yeah.
And we took from corporate a few years ago when y'all did the Founders Cup that was going around each quarter.
Yeah.
We have a Founders Cup that goes, I call it the Burlington Bowl, but Jen hates that.
The Burlington Bowl.
Burlington Bowl. But it says it's a peak performer award basically that gets transferred every month between the retreats that hit their goals. So my favorite phrase is people first. And my managers will even say that, like, we'll be talking about something and a therapist will walk into the room. They're like, oh, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm like, no, people first. Because it is about taking care of them first, because like you made a point earlier that you have to take care of your team first so that they'll take care of your clients. And that's exactly what our culture is that if we don't stop and listen to what they're doing or what they're asking us and then take care of it right then for them, what happens is over time they go, well, they're too busy, I don't want to bother them with that. And then things build up, and then one day it comes to a head and they're like, I need to put in my notice, I got another job. And when you ask them why, they go, because you guys are too busy to fix the problems that I have, and all this stuff has been happening, and you just weren't paying attention to it. And so I'm like, there's no excuse. You keep a pulse on the therapist, and you people first all the time. That's your number one priority.
Good tip. Good tip. I think Nate Connect said he has a vow that he will never lose a therapist to pay or culture, I think is what he
that's
said.
What I said.
Yeah. So I think that's a really great way to think about things. When you think the average therapist generates about $6,500 per month in our system, and you have a gap in the schedule, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So to your point, people first, taking care of them, making sure that you're communicating, and that they know how important their role is within the organization, and that they're part of that. The goals, and that they know how they contributed, that they're part of a team. Do you have any tips for other multi-unit managers? Somebody that maybe is already a multi-unit owner, and is there something that they should be doing to be more effective? Or what if somebody has a single unit and they're considering another unit? What tips could you give them in managing that? Because I think sometimes people are scared to take that plunge. They're the day-to-day operator in one location, and they're thinking, oh gosh, how would I manage a second?
Yeah. So we went that way, right? We started with one, we bought a second one, we bought a third one. And so the hardest transition was actually going from 1 to 2, not from 2 to 3. So I think 3 is the magic number. Because in 1, you can be the point person that handles everything, and you don't necessarily have to put big systems in place to make sure that things run smoothly, because you can step in and you can handle it, and then it's done. When we took over the Bandera location, 2012, it was a lot harder because I had always been the person that just did everything. And so suddenly I couldn't be in both places at once handling everything. So I had to go, well, how do I train my team to be able to handle all of these things? Well, now we have to put systems in place. Who's doing bank deposits? Who's handling customer issues? How are we communicating about customer issues? Who's doing membership cancellations? Is it everyone? Is it just the manager? Is it one at each location? So that was the hardest growing part, is not having systems already in place going into a second location. When we got the third one, it made us realize there's no other option. Like, you have to have perfectly outlined systems. You have to communicate on a regular basis. We do monthly leadership meetings, which is our manager meetings, and we go through all of our metrics for the month and set our action plans for the month. And then 2 weeks later, we do a leadership call. And I'm a big believer in Zoom, because I can't, since I manage kind of Dallas and support them from San Antonio, I can't jump on a plane every 2 days and see somebody. So Zoom is a great platform because I can do a video conference with them, and I can share my screen if I need to, and it makes it easy that I can still get in front of all 6 of my managers at the same time without having to literally be in their retreat. So but systems are the biggest things. And then setting goals and sticking to the goals, because I think a lot of times people set goals and it's just, oh, I think that we can do this. But you shouldn't set goals based off what you're currently doing. You have to set goals based off of what you want to do. So, if you're currently seeing 150 prospects a month, but you know that you need to be at 250 or 300, don't set your goal at 150. Set it at 300. And if you fall a little bit short, that's okay, because it's a goal. You're supposed to be striving for it, not going, I'm fine where I am right now.
Set the bar higher and create a plan around that. Have to have a plan. You can't just say, oh, I think I want to do 300 prospects. How am I going to do those 300 prospects? The plan looks like this from a marketing perspective, looks like this from a staffing perspective, or what have you. Yeah. So I totally agree. Is there anything that you haven't shared today that I haven't asked you about that you think that people need to know?
I think the biggest thing is, this is actually a conversation I had with Brian Reid a long time ago, and he said, would you watch a basketball game if you weren't keeping score? And the answer is no, because you want to have a winner, you want to have a loser, you want to know what's going on, that you're succeeding some sort of measurement. And I feel like goals and tracking, if there's nothing else that you do right in the business, it's you have to be able to set goals and you have to track them and talk about them on a consistent basis, because it's not good enough to just post a number on the wall and go, this is our goal for the month. Well, how do you get there? Like, if this is the revenue goal, what are all the different revenue streams that factor into that? So you have to be able to make sure that everyone understands the different piece that they play in that puzzle. So my front desk can walk in, for instance, and look at the board and go, oh, we're way behind in products. What kind of products can we do? Do we need to do, 10% off today? Or do we need to make sure we change a display up and put something else at the front desk so that we're talking about it consistently? And those are ideas that they'll come up with, not stuff the managers have to come up with. And that's the kind of the motivation that you want from your team is they need to be paying attention to the numbers, whether you're telling them to or not.
Yeah.
So goals and tracking and talking about it constantly is like the key to success, I feel like, in the business.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, you have been awesome. You are awesome.
Thank you.
And I love this. Like I said, I could go on for hours. So we are definitely going to do this again.
Okay.
We've both got to catch a flight today.
Yes,
We don't want
we'll
to.
do it for
We
2
don't.
hours.
Yeah, we don't want to miss that. But thank you so much. And I know just talking to you, why your team is so successful, and you are such a great asset to not just Jen but to our system. So
Thank you.
yeah,
I appreciate
super great. Now that you've heard from us, we would love to hear from you. If you've got questions or have a guest that you'd like to hear from specifically, or a guest that has already been on and you'd like to hear more from, or some very specific questions from, please email us at communications@massageheights.com. In addition, we would love for you to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And hey, talk it up. There's lots of good stuff here. Thank you. And as always, elevate the everyday.